Hello world, Dano here, stacking paper, as always. Today we are reviewing Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is the most recent book club read, and I gotta say, this shit's fucking amazing. I was so enamored by this book. It was really hard for me to put it down. I kind of wanted to just bullets through the whole thing and not do like the sectioned book club reads, but you know, I paced myself. It's fuck, this book's hard to describe, and I'm going to try my best to stay on track with this review because I'm going to be so scatterbrained jumping around, but I'll do what I can. I'll just start from the beginning. So this book throws a lot at you in the first three chapters, and he kind of uses this, I don't want to say it's gimmicky, but like it's a smart device to try to set up the world where these new, I don't want to say recruits, but like interns are being shown through this big lab, and the director is just explaining how the world works, essentially. More specifically, how people are born, or should I say, not born. People are grown, literally in a lab, and before birth, they're just on this conveyor belt, and the embryos are fed, you know, certain cocktails of drugs and conditioning in order to make certain castes of people like ingrained in their mind. So there's, you know, there's alphas, betas, epsilons, you know, all the way down. And essentially the alphas and the betas are the smart ones, and then everybody else is just literally stunted from birth to essentially just be morons and like only able to do like very basic jobs. And that's super fucked up. But the society works. Like on paper, everybody's happy. Everyone does a job that is functional and they can actually do in society. You know, their big saying is everybody works for everybody else, or everybody belongs to everybody else. It's very like extremely open society, sexually open too. The fuck, man, the sexual openness of this book is shocking considering when this book was published. I had to stop like every 15 minutes when reading this book just to like sit back and realize that this book was published in 1932. Like it's fucking mind-blowing. He was so ahead of the curve. But I digress. Anyway, so at the beginning of the book, this director is explaining these things to these interns, even about like how the world itself works, about their like pseudo-religious practice of Fordism, and how everybody worships literally like the Ford Model T. So like everyone wears crosses, but instead of like the Christian cross, the top is cut off and it's just a T. You know, your Fordliness is closest to godliness, Ford speed, like all of these things are thrown in. And that's another thing. Fuck, I'm already getting so disjointed. He puts in these subtle little details of world building that are so like he doesn't need to do it, but it just makes the world so much more real. And it's so impressive because the book is not long. Like this book is like 200 pages, and the world building that he's able to accomplish in this book is better than most like epic fantasies. It's kind of crazy. Like, anyway, so he does this technique at the very beginning where, as he's explaining kind of like the rules and tenets and things in the world, it's flashing between three other characters, Lenina, Bernard, and is it Mustafa? I can't remember. But as he's explaining things to the interns, it's flashing to these characters and showing them like real life examples of what's going on. You know, for example, how everybody just kind of fucks everybody. Everybody goes to these like the Feelies, which are just like nightclubs that you watch like live plays, and also it's like you're on a vibrator. Like it's wild, but it's a really brilliant technique because it introduces all these characters and at the same time ingratiates them in the world. But it's a really disorienting read at first, but once you kind of lock into it, it's actually so efficient in how he's able to get information across. But anyway, the juice of this book is, there's these two guys, Bernard and Helmholtz, and they see through the facade of the world they live in, because at some point in their creation, something happened where people make fun of Bernard and say that he got a little bit too much alcohol at a certain stage, because he's not good looking, he's ugly, and he doesn't really conform to a lot of the norms. Like, he doesn't take soma. What is soma? Holy fuck. Soma is kind of what holds their whole society together, and it's this drug that is just the perfect drug. It makes you extremely happy. You hallucinate only positive, awesome shit. You could, if you want, you can go on soma holiday and just take so much soma that you're just high as a kite for like weeks, and that's like a normal thing to do in this society. And there's no downsides. There's no like after effects of it, except for the fact that it apparently does kill you slowly, which is another aspect of this. Is holy fuck, man, it just keeps going. Everybody looks young all the time. No one like physically ages, but at age 60 you're just killed off. Like, everybody knows that at age 60 you die. They're conditioned from youth to just not fear death at all and just accept that as part of reality. And they're like, yep, you're gonna have an enjoyable life up till age 60, and then you're gonna die, and we're gonna cremate you, and we're gonna use your remains to like literally be like fertilizer or whatever. Even in death you help the society. Anywho, holy shit, I keep again sidetracked. So you got Bernard and Helmholtz. Helmholtz is kind of the opposite of Bernard. He's really good looking. He constantly is, bagging women. He's apparently had sex with over 600 plus women. He also sees through the facade of society, though. He just got the positive end of it. And him and Bernard are the only two people they can really talk to about this stuff, because of the insane censorship being put on by these world controllers who... Anyways, I'll get to that. But Bernard really is into this girl, Lenina. Lenina's not too into Bernard, but she kind of is. Like, she's like, I can see a charm in him, but where other women just see nothing in him. So they go on this journey to the Savage Lands, which are basically natives that just are still living their native way. They're not part of this, brave new world society. And Bernard wants to go there. He wants to take Lenina on a trip there because he thinks... I kind of forget the actual reason why he goes. It's just like a thing to do. They see it as like it's like a vacation thing where it's like, ooh, let's watch how these weirdos live. Like, it's like watching people in a zoo. But what they find there is a woman who used to be from their society living with the natives and has a kid. And this kid, John, he obviously doesn't fit in with the natives because he's white. He doesn't look like any of them. This kid is the son of the director of, I guess, not embryology, but where they grow people. And he had a kid, and to hide it, he shipped her off to the Savage Land because being a parent in this society is like a big no-no. It's against Fordism, it's against what their society stands for. So he sent them there to hide this kid away. Bernard sees him, realizes who it is, puts it together and goes, ooh, I'm going to bring him back and make this guy look really stupid and, maybe get myself up in society. Bernard is a really fucked up guy. And then, side note, again, keep digressing, but this book is also really funny. Like, really, really funny. I was so surprised at how funny this book was. There's a scene right before they go to the Savage Land where the other alphas that work there are explaining kind of how dangerous it is, and they're like, listen, these are electric fences, like, you can't touch them. Also, like, don't do this, and the entire time Lenina is high off her fucking gourd, and she's just staring at him, not listening to anything that's being said, and going, oh wow, that's interesting. It's so prescient, to today's society. She's basically doing like the Gen Z stare. But while that's going on, Bernard realizes that he left the tap on except it's not like a tap of water. It's a perfume tap. So everyone in their rooms has like a knob that they can turn that just like spews perfume in the room and makes it smell really good and, you know, puts you in a good mood. But he realized he left it on. And the entire time this guy's explaining it, it keeps flashing back into Bernard's head of him thinking about the timer, the knob on the perfume and how much money he's losing. And it's like shit. And it's like, man, 1932. So relatable. Like, anywho though, the real, I already said the real meat of this book, but the true real meat of this book is him bringing John back to this Brave New World society. And John, he has native knowledge, so he knows how to hunt, how to, like, you know, make pelts and shit and survive out in the wilderness. But also, inside their village, they had a remnant of Shakespeare, like the completed works of Shakespeare. And this is something that, like, doesn't exist in the Brave New World society anymore, because the guys at the top, Mustafa Mon specifically, he has all this stuff locked away because they realized, you know, religion destroys society, art destroys society, like everything, all of that just leads to suffering and pain. I'll get to that. But so John has this like romantic, tragic view of the world through the lens of Shakespeare. He's constantly quoting Shakespeare and seeing how that adapts to society. He gets brought back. Bernard makes the director look like an idiot. He immediately runs away and like quits his post. Bernard starts now becoming a higher up in society because his whole thing was he wanted to take shit down. He wanted to revolutionize things. But as soon as he exposed the director and he started getting his accolades, he immediately forgot about all that. He's like, oh, I'm getting women now. I got fucking status. I'm going to all these fancy parties. All of a sudden, he just like, he gets so pulled back in. And Helmholtz is like, wow, I'm so disappointed in you, dude. Like, you completely sold out. And it's like, yep, no, how many times have you seen that happen? And then there's this, I don't even want to call it a love story. It's more of a lust story between John and Lenina, where John is super attracted to her and obviously like really wants to be with her, but he still has these old notions of like chivalry and romance and like courting a woman and all this stuff. And Lenina, because of the society that she's in, it's like, oh no, monogamous relationships are not a thing. Everybody fucks everybody. Everybody's doing like constant orgies and like, that's not how her brain works. So she's immediately coming on to him like, oh, I'm just going to take you, right? And it just does not compute with John. He's like, oh my God, you're a strumpet. You're a fucking, you're absolutely disgusting. Like, what is going on? But meanwhile, that's all that Lenina knows. The way that Huxley explains how conditioning, like layers and layers of hundreds of years of perfected conditioning have just made a society where like people can't even think to revolutionize because they don't even know what that would look like. And why would they, right? So I feel so bad for Lenina in this situation because she's just doing what she's always done and what the society tells her to do, where John is just, he is this outlier, right? And it leads to a point where John just goes, fuck it, I just want to live by myself, just leave me alone. He finds a lighthouse to go and be in, and then someone catches him whipping himself. He has this thing where like he punishes himself. And you know, people from the society catch wind of it, and then a bunch of journalists show up, and they're all obsessed with this because they can't understand wanting pain because they live in a society of pure pleasure. And he just wants to be left alone. And it gets to the point where they don't leave him alone so much that hundreds of them show up. They have a massive orgy. He gets sucked into it and goes, what the fuck happened? And then he just kills himself. Like, it's a dark ending, but it's very poignant. And I should say the climax of the book is actually before this. I'm so sorry for this review is terrible, but I don't care. I'm just rambling. The peak of this book is the conversation that John has with Mustafa. So Mustafa Mond is the world controller of Western Europe, of the area where they live. And the world controllers are the only people who actually they're not under this conditioning. They don't have they're not part of the society. They just run it because there has to be a man on the outside to run it. He's the guy who censors everything. Whenever alphas start kind of coming up with ideas that are counterintuitive to the society, because that is the issue, is the only way that the society works is they need alphas. They need smart people to do things, but they also need them to be conditioned. But because of that, there's always going to be some that kind of break through, and anytime that happens, they censor them and they send them to a fucking island. But it's not out of maliciousness. It's what they want too. And it's what ends up happening at the end of the book. Bernard and Helmholtz specifically is like, yeah, I clearly don't fit in with the society. Like, I just want to leave. And he's like, okay, well, take your pick any island on the planet. We'll send you there because you guys aren't the first ones. This has happened before. Whenever alphas come up that don't fit in, we let them leave. But anyways, this conversation that John is having with Mustafa, and John is trying to explain, like, you know, you guys don't have high art. You don't have, like, any real beauty in this world. And Mustafa agrees with him, but he says, but we also, we had to give all that up. Like, we decided to sacrifice art. We decided to sacrifice religion. We sacrificed, you know, monogamy and marriage. We sacrificed all these things in order for happiness to actually exist. And the problem is it's a hollow happiness because there's no pain and there's no suffering, and it's just all good things. It becomes hollow and meaningless, and I think that's a huge theme in the book, and that's what John is explaining to Mustafa. Mustafa's like, I know. You know, Mustafa says he sacrificed his happiness in order for the betterment of everybody else, the happiness of everyone else. As fucked up as that is, because it's really not real happiness, I also don't think Mustafa is a evil guy. And it's funny, this was like a kind of a big point of contention in our book club, because two of us felt like Mustafa wasn't evil, and the other two were like, no, he's definitely evil. And it was kind of a cool little argument. But I personally, I see him as just a product of the society that they lived in. There needs to be people to run it. He's like, if I don't do it, someone else is just going to replace me and do it. So it's not like no one can really stop this unless all the world controllers decided to. But why would they? Because on paper, everything works. Everybody's happy. There's no crime. Like, people don't kill each other. There's no war. It just works. And John is so conflicted because he can't argue with him. He doesn't even have the tools to argue with him, but also the stats don't lie type thing. But it doesn't matter. John still feels like deep down in his heart of hearts, something is wrong. That there is an element of the human experience that is completely missing from this brave new world. But also he's powerless to stop it. So it is kind of a really sad ending, but this book is more of a thought experiment than anything. Not that it doesn't have a plot. It actually has like a pretty it's extremely well paced. The characters are all like funny and interesting. Like, again, this book is really fucking funny for what it's dealing with. It's crazy how funny this book is at times. And I was too busy talking about like how good the world building and character work was that I didn't really delve into the fact that the prose is just amazing. Like, this guy is such a good writer. The way he uses the English language to describe things in a way that I would never, ever think of, but yet somehow works perfectly. Yeah, everything about this book is just incredible. It's kind of gotten better in my mind the longer I've thought about it. Like, at first I gave it like a 9, but this might be like a 10 out of 10 book. Like, I'll put it at a soft 9.5. But yeah, this is like near perfect book. It's hard for me. I can't really find much wrong with it. It just, everything about it just hits so well. Anywho, I think this book's fantastic, and everyone should read it. And it's a slam dunk. What am I reading next? So I'm still reading Jingo, a Discworld book. That's kind of my side palate cleanser read. And then the next book club read is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name, but it's like Beat era, and obviously a very famous movie made from it. But it's a weird one, but we'll see how that one ends. I'm interested in the completion of that book. But yeah, Brave New World. Read it. Take it easy.